Good morning. The time is now 10:01, and I call the May 2021-2026 Planning Board meeting to order. We have the following board members with us today: Commissioner Gerardo.
Good morning, everybody.
Commissioner Matthews.
Good morning.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Good morning.
And Vice Chair Okoye. Commissioner Jenkins is joining us online. We now move forward with the business at hand. Please note that the deadline for all participants pre-registration and for all submission of materials and exhibits was 12 noon on Tuesday before this planning board meeting. The order of the cases for today's meeting is as follows. Item 1, 2, 3, and 5. The first item on the agenda is item 1, draft resolution. Principal Counsel Warner will introduce the items.
Thank you, Vice Chair Okoye. Yes, Principal Warner for the Planning Board. These two resolutions relate back to the action taken last week. And just a little background on the two. First of all, the Planning Board is committed to openness. It has been for the 6+ years I've been here. I know that was the case with the council that was in my position for even a longer period of time before I was here. And so we do things in the open. And that really, that filters down not just from the planning board, but to our planning department and our parks department and all of the people that work under those two directors. We field hundreds of calls every day in our planning information services offices, in our permits team, and frankly, every employee in our departments fields questions from the public and answers them. In fact, to such a degree, I often will say, I know you want to be as responsive as possible, but remember, you got your work to do too. So we occasionally get comments from the public about ways we can improve on openness. Sure, and everybody can always improve, but it belies the fact that we do such an incredible amount of work for the public in the open every day. Now, last week, called in some question about whether we were operating with the openness that has been our mantra, and the fact was we ended up complying with the law. We sat here for about a week now since last week's actions, and we looked at what was done, and we determined that legally the actions taken last week were an administrative function of the board, and therefore likely not technically covered by the Open Meetings Act. But that's the point I'm making, is that this board does its work in the open, and that includes putting items on the agenda and having the public be aware of all the work that we're doing. So we put administrative functions on there all the time, things that aren't technically required to be on there by the Open Meetings Act, because that's how we operate. And I think that has, again, been the ethos of this planning board as long as I've been here, and for a long time before that. So in the interest of ensuring that to the extent any of that action taken last week might have been called into question under the Open Meetings Act, we said this week we're going to put an item on the agenda, and we're going to put it on the agenda in compliance with the Act, and we're going to put a resolution on the agenda affirming the decision made last week, so that there's no question that to the extent that the Open Meetings Act applies to any extent from what happened last week, that we do the right thing here and affirm the decision to a resolution. So the very first resolution you're considering affirms your appointment as Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll look for a motion to approve the draft resolution.
I move to adopt a resolution confirming the appointment of Commissioner Billy Okoye as.
A second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins and a second by Commissioner Matthews. I will now call the roll. Commissioner Gerardo.
Respectfully, I abstain.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. The ayes have it.
Right, and then I'll speak to the second resolution now. So the second resolution speaks to the role of the vice chair. And that was also a question that I think a number of people had last week with regard to the appointment of a vice chair. And it's important, I think, to explain to the public that the position of vice chair is a position provided for in the planning board's rules of procedure. It is not a position provided by state law or any other law. It's only a position in the planning board's rules of procedure. And the only authority a vice chair is given in our rules of procedure is to preside over meetings when the chair is absent. So obviously at this point we need a vice chair to preside over meetings, and we have a vice chair. Now there are very few but certain obligations under state law and under the code that specifically require the chairman to do certain things, such as the chairman endorses plats approved by the planning board. It's been our practice that the chair signs resolutions just affirming the decisions of the planning. The chair signs transmittal letters transmitting recommendations of the planning board to different folks entitled to those recommendations. So these are ministerial duties. But if you look at case law in this area, when something is assigned specifically to a chair, and in the case of these particular laws, there's no real provision in there as to if there's not a chair, what happens? We need somebody with authority to conduct ministerial duties that affirm decisions of the planning board. So the planning board, for instance, will approve a final plat. That's the action approving the plat. Law says the chairman needs to endorse a plat to let everybody know that the planning board took that action. The same thing with letters that the chair signs, same thing with other documents. These are ministerial duties. They're not a separate authority other than the authority to effectuate decisions of the planning board. So in order to formalize that, the resolutions before the planning board that will assign those responsibilities that need to be carried out by the chairman, or the chair, depending on which law you look at and how they call the title, and give those to you to handle those ministerial duties. So that's what this second resolution does.
We look for a motion to approve the second draft resolution.
I move to adopt a resolution granting Vice Chair Billy Okoye authority to conduct ministerial duties required of the chairman.
A second.
Right, we have a motion by Commissioner Jenkins and second by Commissioner Matthews. We'll now call the roll. Commissioner Gerardo.
Respectfully, I abstain.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Matthews.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. Before we continue today's session, I want to briefly acknowledge the transition within the planning board leadership. I'd like to thank Chairman Darabont for his service, leadership, dedication to Prince George's County during his tenure. Chairman Burns was consistently emphasized the importance of elevating Prince George's County into a destination of choice. Aligned with the vision of the county executive, that mission remains important as we continue the work ahead. I also want to reassure our staff, residents, stakeholders, and fellow commissioners that of the work of Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission continues uninterrupted. Our commitment to professionalism, transparency, responsible planning, and public service remains strong. I'm grateful for the collaboration and support of my fellow commissioners, our legal team, our staff leadership, and employees who continue to serve this county with dedication every day. As we move forward, our focus remains clear: serving the residents of Prince George's County, strengthening our communities, and continuing the important work of building a county that remains a destination of choice for future generations. Thank you, and with that, we will proceed with today's agenda. The next item on the agenda is item 2, draft minutes of May 14, 2026. We'll look for a motion to approve the minutes of May 2026. May 14.
Commissioner Kai, I move that we adopt the minutes.
A second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gerardo and a second by Commissioner Jenkins. I will now call the roll. Commissioner Gerardo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. The next item on our agenda is item 3B, an executive session, and the following is my closing statement. Pursuant to the general provisions article of the Annotated Code of Maryland Act 3-305, subsection B3, a closed session is proposed to discuss the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters related thereto, or for the purpose of protecting the Commission's negotiation positions. Commissioners, we need a motion to convene.
I second.
It hasn't been made yet. So moved.
For the second?
I second.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Gerardo and second by Commissioner Matthews. I will now call the roll. Commissioner Gerardo.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. We will now reconvene in open session following the executive session. Thank you. We will now move to the regular agenda. The first agenda is item 5, Countywide Planning Division, MR-2025-001, Ferguson Foundation Water Park. And we have staff member today, Walker, who will present that.
Thank you. I will be sitting in for Ms. Walker this morning. For the record, my name is Bobby Ray, and I'm with the Countywide Planning Division. So good morning, Vice Chair Okoye and members of the board. Item number 5 is a proposed 30,000-gallon water tank for fire protection services to be located on the property of the Alice Ferguson Foundation, located at 2451 Bryan Point Road in Akakie. The Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department have entered into a lease with the Alice Ferguson Foundation to utilize a 0.74 acre portion of the site for the tank installation. Can we go to slide number 5, please? Thank you. Just for information background, a portion of the site is located in the Chesapeake Bay Critical Area Overlay District, and as such, it will be subject to review by the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Critical Area Commission. It's my understanding that they've made that application and that review is already underway. I'm not sure it's complete at this point. Additionally, the site is located with the Moye-Own, thank you. The Moye-Own National Register Historic District. And can we move to slide 9, please? So in addition to the tank, the proposed work also includes a new water line connection, a new pump, an electrical line connection, and the applicant is also proposing new landscaping with native plantings and trees to screen the tank from the public right-of-way. And all work will be done in a single phase, so it won't be phased out. Next slide, 10. So you can see from the site plan the location of the tank on the west side of the property, a little close to the western property line, adjacent to Bryan Point Road. The tank will be 42 feet long. It'll have a diameter of 12 feet, and it will be partially submerged into the ground. Access will be from an existing gravel driveway located north of the tank. Slide 13, please. And staff recommendations, just to summarize, are to add additional evergreen screen or a fence to further screen the tank from public right-of-way. Widen the driveway entrance and the west side of the driveway loop to a minimum of 20 feet. Coordinate with the fire marshal for any possible enhancements for emergency and service vehicle access to the site. Retain a consulting archaeologist to monitor ground disturbance during any grading or other site disturbance. And those are the recommendations. That concludes staff's presentation. We recommend that the planning board approve the mandatory referral, MR 2025-0011, subject to the recommendations listed. We do have, I believe, 4 people signed up to speak. All of them are representative of the applicant. We do have one gentleman who is here to speak on behalf of the Moye-Own Register District area.
Any question from staff, from the planning board?
I have a quick question. In the long term, who will maintain the water tank?
Yeah, my understanding, it would be an operational question, but I certainly would assume that the fire and EMS department would be responsible for the tank maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
They can clarify.
That's correct.
Great.
All right, next we hear from the applicant's representative. Oh, did somebody say that's correct online? Can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Darren McLean. I'm facilities manager for the fire EMS department, and also have our deputy chief Gill, who is over support services on. So yes, we will maintain the operational and upkeep of the water storage tank.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do you have any other comments? Okay, I see now. Next we hear from the applicant's representative. I see none. Any questions for the applicant representative? There's none. All right. And the speakers?
Yeah, we have Michael Leventhal from.
So we have Aaron Campbell.
Yes, I'm Aaron Campbell. I'm with A. Morton Thomas. I'm also here with Aaron Smith on the call from A. Morton Thomas. As previously discussed, Darren McLean with Fire and EMS is also on the call. We're in support of this mandatory referral approval and open the floor to any questions from the planning board. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Michael Leventhal?
Yes. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm Michael Leventhal. I live at 1130 Apple Valley Road in Accokeek. I live in the Moyone Reserve and within the Piscataway National Park and some 2 miles from the proposed site. I'm also the Special Projects Chair in the Moyone Association, which acts as the Moyone's Reserve's HOA and owns the adjacent land to the project. I've been involved in the proposed project since 2019. The original design was for a totally submerged tank with an outfall line going to Bryan Point Road. At the meeting on site with the architect, a representative of the Alice Ferguson Foundation, members of the Accokeek volunteer and professional firefighters, and myself on the site, I recommended that the outfall line go to the parking lot at the Moyone Association's land adjacent to this site so that the tanker could fill up off the 2-lane road, Bryan Point Road, and be in an area the tanker could easily turn around. This recommendation was accepted by all and is now part of the plan before you. In 2024, the Moyone Association wrote to Chuck Schneider, Planner 3 in the County-wide Planning Environmental Planning section, advocating a quick review and approval of this proposed project. The letter noted that the residents of the Moyone Reserve live on 5-acre forested land and that there are no fire hydrants in our community. While we have limited fires in our area, any fire would require a tanker for water. And should that tanker need to be refilled, having this proposed water tank in our neighborhood would save time, property, and lives. The Moyone Reserve in 2025 developed a memorandum of understanding regarding this water storage tank between the Alice Ferguson Foundation, the Prince George's Volunteer Fire Department, and the Prince George's County Fire EMS Department. The MOU allows 24/7 access to our property by firefighters without any requirement to provide advance notice or seek any other permission to fill the tankers with water from this proposed water tank. The Prince George's County firefighters were given the combination of the gate lock should that gate be closed. This has been a project that has taken an inordinately long time to get to this stage. The Moyone Association hopes that you will approve it and that it will be undertaken and completed in a short time frame. Please note that approving this project means that the Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department needs to have an appropriate tanker to fill. I hope that the county's fire EMS department will ensure that the Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department has such a tanker. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next we'll have Ronald Lidford.
Good morning. My name is Ronnie Gill. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief for Support Services for Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department. I too stand in support of the project. Darren McLean is my subject matter expert, and he can provide any additional information the board needs. But as mentioned by the previous speaker, this would help save time with fire suppression operations, include that we would have an area, as it was stated, it's non-hydrant, so having the fill tank available would allow us to put water on fire in a quicker manner. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can we have Ronnie Gill?
I apologize. That was Ronnie Gill speaking if I jumped in front of someone else.
You jumped in front of Ronald Lidford?
I'm sorry.
No worries. For the records, the last speaker was Ronnie Gill. Do we have Ronald Lidford? All right. Are there any questions for the speakers from the planning board? Board members, any deliberation? If not, what's your pleasure?
I would move to approve mandatory referral application 2025-0011 with staff's recommendations.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Gerardo and seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. I will now call the roll. Commissioner Gerardo,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Jenkins,
Aye.
Commissioner Matthews,
I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. This concludes all items for today's agenda. I want to thank everybody for your patience and for your support, and as we continue to look for better days ahead. Thank you very much.